Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria Evans. I'm a science-based intuitive eating specialist helping you stop food fear, food guilt, and self-sabotage so you can eat effortlessly and feel amazing. So in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through what to do on a bad body image day in eating disorder recovery. Initially, I'm going to talk about what it really means to be disliking your body, what's actually going on in your brain, why we feel that way. And then from there, I'm going to be taking you through step by step how to feel better about your body on a bad body image day. Before I dig into any of that, I also want to say I have a brand new puppy. He is on the floor. He is chewing things right now. So if you hear noises in the background, my puppy, I might pop him up a little bit later in the video to show you guys. But if you hear noise in the background, that's what it is. And one last thing before I dig into this, and that is to please like and subscribe. I get a little email notification that someone has subscribed every time they do a little happy dance. I read their name. I'm so thankful for each person that is subscribing and supporting me. So just thank you so much for that. As well as please comment below any type of video you'd like to see next, any type of questions or support you might need. I'm here for you. That's what this channel is all about. Releasing weekly videos in hopes to help you on your recovery journey. So with that said, let's dig into it. So the first thing is that when we're looking at our body and on a bad body image day, we're looking at ourselves in the mirror, we're feeling our clothes fitting a little more snug or, whatever those things are that are contributing to a bad body image day. The reality is that the reason that we are disliking our body, the reason that we are feeling the way we're feeling is that we are actually seeing the symptom of an underlying problem. So your body, your weight, how you look is not the problem. It is the symptom of the underlying problem. And I will die on this hill by saying our body is not the problem. Right? Our body is not the problem, despite what you might be thinking right now, or you may be believing in the past or in the future. So when we say that we dislike our body, when we look in the mirror, we don't like what we see, we want to change it, all of that. What we really mean, right? What we're really saying is that we want to feel loved. We want to feel valued. We want to feel connected. We want to feel like we're in control. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel good enough. What we always think is a body problem is actually a life problem. There's something deeper going on there. It's kind of like a check engine light, right? It's not really about your body. It's about something else. So what is that something else? Well, I mentioned a few of those things. We want to feel loved, we want to feel connected, valued, accepted, we want to feel in control, we want to feel good enough, right? But with that, we also want to address something called heuristics. So you maybe know my style. I would like to coach from a science-based perspective. I believe that education is empowerment, enables us to make change. So what are heuristics? Basically, they're little shortcuts that your brain takes. And that's because our brain likes to operate very efficiently. It doesn't want to be expending unnecessary energy. And that's why it loves these little shortcuts. So essentially, these shortcuts, sometimes they're not actually serving us. Sometimes we're picking out these heuristics, these little shortcuts from our society, such as around body image, weight, worth, lovability, happiness, confidence, right? So for example, right, we're seeing these magazines, these TikTok videos, these whatever of these people smiling, maybe, and they have a before photo and they don't like themselves and they're in a larger body, and the after photo, and all of a sudden they're smiling and they seem more confident, which again, we never know what's going on behind the scenes. I was one of those people in the before and after photo, which was I can go into that more in my story in terms of eating disorders. But I was someone who was pasted all over social media, Instagram influencers, before and after photos, people telling me I looked terrible before, I looked amazing after. And when I was, in that smaller body, shredded with abs and everything, I was so unhappy. I was not confident. I was a mess, right? So we never know what's going on in those photos. But with that said, right, our brain sees these photos of these before, these after photos. We see all the, on the magazines of how to lose this much weight, and these people are smiling, and right, basically we are associating all this happiness, this confidence, this lovability, this worth. We're congratulating people on their weight loss, on their body, or praising their body. Now, what does this result in, right? Well, then our brain says, oh, okay, looking a certain way, having a certain body size, that equates to happiness, right? So then when our brain is noticing that we're not feeling confident or happy or feeling insecure, it goes back to that little shortcut that it remembered from an entire life, right, about happiness and body and worth and, all that bullshit that society is telling us in terms of how we should look, in terms of how to, how our worth is, essentially, right? This belief that we've spent our entire life curating, this heuristic, this shortcut, that a certain body type, looking a certain way, feeling comfortable in my skin in that sense will equal happiness, right? And then in those moments when we're feeling that insecurity, that we're not feeling lovable, we're feeling out of control in our life, whatever those things are, our brain, like I said, remembers back to that. And we kind of get caught in this trap where we think to ourselves the solution for our feelings of inadequacy or not feeling valued and worthy and connected and accepted and in control and all that. Our brain seems to think that the solution to this is to change our body size, to fixate on our weight, to fixate on how we look, because as a society, especially if you're socialized as a woman, you're conditioned that so much of your sense of self was taking up less space. How can I control my appetite? How can I control my body? How can I control everything about myself to avoid, taking up that space, to avoid having a voice, to avoid, demanding respect in this society? Because essentially when we're trying to shrink ourselves, when we're trying to make ourselves smaller, we relieve ourselves of any ability to show up in the world to fit our true potential, right? Dieting, eating disorders, all of this. Yes, eating disorders are an illness of the mind, right? It's a mental illness, and it's often a way that we are trying to cope with our reality or our past, and it is a coping mechanism that becomes a maladapted coping mechanism. But with that said, the fundamental roots of it when it comes to body image, right? That's what it's really rooted in confidence and keeping ourselves looking a certain way. All of that is rooted in so much of our patriarchal society where we're keeping women distracted, we're keeping women small, right? If I'm focused on the size of my thigh gap, I'm not focused on the fact that this guy is making more money than me, right? The diet industry, the fitness, wellness, all that whole industry is worth billions, trillions, I don't know, right? It's worth a lot of money. So it pays to tell people that they have a problem and then sell them a solution for it. I used to work for L'Oreal at the head office, and quite literally, we were creating problems for people to feel insecure about that they didn't necessarily know they had before, and that we were selling them solutions. So all that kind of basically tying back to this feeling of insecurity in our body, this feeling of having a bad body image day, this is not you. We were not born hating our body. We were not born feeling insecure. We were taught that, and we were taught it for a very specific reason. And then when we're feeling insecure, when we're feeling unconfident, we're feeling out of control in our life, right? Our brain goes back to that heuristic, goes back to that shortcut where we tell ourselves, oh, the problem here is my body. The solution is if I look a certain way, if I was smaller, blah, 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 then I would feel differently. So when you start to fall into that trap, when you start to be thinking these thoughts of, oh, if I looked a certain way, oh, this, oh, that, ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this thought truly my own? And the answer is no. And furthermore, is this thought serving me? Also, the answer is no, right? That is coming from an internal need, that feeling of inadequacy, that feeling of out of control, that feeling all of those things. And you will never fill an internal void with external things. Trust me, I tried, right? And some people it can be body image, some people it can be the promotion, it can be the partner, it can be the house, it can be the car. It can be all those things that we're always trying to control and change our external reality with, and ever going really deeper to understand that what's going on is internal. What's going on is their feelings of not enoughness inside, and that will never be dealt with by changing our body image, right? You hear so many people, whether that be an eating disorder or they have plastic surgery, and they can completely change their external appearance and still feel completely unhappy and unconfident. That's because they never did the work to realize that, hey, changing everything on the outside is never going to deal with what's going on the inside. So why do we do this, right? I kind of explained that heuristic, that shortcut, but let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit more into the science, because that's how I like to work. This also is going to drop in here. There's a link below into the show notes if you want to book a consult call with me, if you like the way I coach, if you like my style. I would love to hop on a consult call with you, totally free, to see if coaching in this program, I work with people, my 90-day program might be a good fit for you. With that said, oxytocin, maybe you know it from childbirth, maybe you've heard it before. Basically, it's a hormone produced by the hypothalamus and secreted by the pituitary gland, and it plays a role in social bonding, social reproduction, like I mentioned, childbirth, the period after childbirth. It really has to do with connection, feeling a part of a group, right? And that's kind of the main purpose that we're going to focus on for today. There's lots of different things, as I mentioned, but again, we're going to focus on the bonding, connection, part of a group, part of it. So oxytocin is about the trust and connection that we feel we're in a group, right? When we're in a group, we feel like we're in that kind of inner circle. We have that friends with us, that sense of trust that we have, that sense of almost like a relaxation sometimes, not always, But right, we feel a part of that group. We feel a part of that tribe, essentially. So our brain is wired to want to be a part of a group. It's wired to never want to isolate ourselves with different opinions, with different thoughts, because, right, of our brain, which it is operating as if it's thousands of years ago. It hasn't evolved to understand it's 21st century. There's not imminent death around every corner. So essentially, when our brain feels like there is a threat in the sense that it's no longer a part of the group, it sees that isolation as possibly death, right? As possibly threatening. And that's because thousands of years ago, if we are in the middle of the jungle, right, and I'm with you in the group, and then you do something different, and we're all like, what the heck was that, right? Oh, we don't want you in our group anymore. You don't survive, right? You don't make it if you are not conforming to the group, right? So we have this kind of group think. We have this desire to fit in. We experience the emotion, the sensation, the feeling of shame if we are not feeling a part of that group, right? And that is a survival technique that we have evolved to have to make sure that we stay in the group, to make sure that we're not being too wild and different so that we don't get kicked out of that tribe. The people that were being too wildly different, that were challenging too much the status quo all those years ago, we don't have those genes pass forward, right? Because those people did not survive. So we have been trained throughout our lifetimes, throughout our ancestors' lifetimes, to want to conform, to have that oxytocin, that feeling of connection flowing, to be feeling good, to have a common enemy, to really feel us against them. That whole kind of mentality is really driven by oxytocin, the desire to fit in and never isolate, because isolation could possibly mean death, right? So knowing this and understanding this, when we look at how our society's evolved, those heuristics, those shortcuts around body image, around weight, around worth and lovability, it makes sense because it's hitting on multiple different levels when we start to think to ourselves, oh, I'm having a bad body image day. What does that really mean, right? Well, it means, well, maybe I feel disconnected. I don't feel valued. I feel unseen. I feel, whatever those things are, right? And asking ourselves that, like, what is this really about? Or do I want to feel valued, connected, accepted, good enough? Do I feel out of control right now, right? What are those things? And is that coming from, like, I don't feel like I'm integrated. I don't feel like I'm really a part of this group right now. And my brain is worried and catastrophizing that if I don't assimilate, if I don't look a certain way, if I don't have these things that my brain is telling me if I look a certain way that I will have, that I'm going to blah, 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 die alone, right? That kind of catastrophizing, that kind of all or nothing mindset when it comes to body image and quite literally sick, and then I die alone, right? When you kind of start to spiral, all that has to do with our brain trying to ensure that we stay alive, trying to make sure that we conform to the group, that we conform to what our society, what social media, whatever is telling us. So in those moments, we have to recognize, right? Like I said, these thoughts are not my own. This hating of my body, this desire to fit in and change my body, that is coming back to a part of my brain that is, assuming this is life and death situations, which it's not. And two, right, it's coming back to that heuristic, that shortcut that is placed upon us by a capitalistic patriarchal society, trying to keep women distracted and small, and trying, worrying about our body, worrying about our weight, worrying about all these things is an indicator that something else is going on. We don't feel loved, we don't feel respected, we don't feel connected, we don't feel in control, right? So that is our opportunity to get curious, like a check engine light, and say, okay, what is this really about? What is really going on there? And that's what I love to dig into with clients and really get into the nitty gritty of like, what is really this, what is this really about? And that is kind of that first step. So the first step, is this really about my body or is this about something else? And getting radically honest. My dog just undid oh my God, did you just snap? This is the perpetrator. Somebody just nibbled. You're lucky you didn't electrocute yourself, sir. Somebody just nibbled my cable and is no longer broken. So if my lighting just changed, this is Ghibli. Ghibli is the culprit. Okay, that light is officially broken. So the first step is this really about my body. The second step is I want you to use the and tool. This is a tool I created years ago. So if you're someone who's struggling, like I said, with body image, this is a good one. This helps you to get body neutrality, body respect. And so this is how I like to use the tool. I'll kind of explain it with an example. So for me personally, I can deadlift 130 kilos and I have cellulite on my legs, right? Or I am an amazing friend to so many people in my life and I weigh more than I used to. Please stop eating things. So basically the point of the and tool is to, if you think about like a number line, you have something negative and you have something positive. What you want to do is pair this quote unquote negative thing that you're feeling about your body image with a more positive thing, right? So maybe it's around your friendship, your values, your work, your ability to take care of a dog who's being a wild hooligan, whatever those things are, right? Think about a number line, negative and positive, pairing them together to kind of create that neutrality. So we're working towards body neutrality. So my second tip is to use that and tool, writing out a bunch of things that you're proud of yourself for, that you feel good about, not related to body. And then you can think about a couple other things that you are struggling with when it comes to body image. And I want you to write out the sentence, I can do blank, that positive thing, and then insert whatever that kind of more negative body image thought you're having to create that neutrality. So that is that second step there. So the first one is just really about my body. The second one is about creating that neutrality by using what I call the AND tool, A-N-D tool. The third thing is to watch the self-talk, right? And I'm not going to dig too much into that because I have a lot of content on that. But essentially, when whatever we say becomes a blueprint. So if I'm speaking super negatively to myself, oh, I look disgusting, I hate myself, blah, 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 right? What's really happening in those moments is I'm creating pain in the brain when I'm feeling pain and, if I'm creating shame in the brain. When I'm creating shame in the brain, it means my body's going to automatically start feeling pain. When I'm feeling pain, my body wants to avoid it. Usually that ends up happening is we engage in behaviors and more self-talk and more negative things, right? We're not really taking care of ourselves. And so we create this kind of negativity spiral in our lives through the self-talk. So telling myself, I hate myself, I'm disgusting, that negative self-talk is going to lead to negative actions, whereas positive self-talk is going to lead to positive actions. I'm not going to go too much deeper into that because that's a whole topic, but be intentional with your self-talk. The shaming and beating yourself up is going to get you nowhere, absolutely nowhere. It's going to just kick you back. The last thing I have for you is a social media audit. So step number 4 is a social media audit. I don't want you following all the people that make you feel like shit about yourself, right? Thinking back to how our brain works, thinking back to heuristics, thinking back to oxytocin, feeling part of a group. If you are filling your social media with people that you don't feel like you look like, with people that are making you feel insecure, right? Like my whole social media used to be people who were, lifting weights and like abs and all this. And I'd go on there and I'd feel insecure about myself. So create an environment for yourself, a digital social environment for yourself where you feel safe to be yourself, right? So be intentional with who you're following, mute people, even if it's friends, or unfollow them if you need to, right? And follow more people that make you feel safe in your own body. Follow more people. So for example, if you're someone who struggles with cellulite or struggles with the size of your stomach, right? What I want you to do is follow more people who have more cellulite than you, that have a bigger stomach than you. And what we do through that is create that familiarity. And through that familiarity for ourselves, we create safety because our brain fears what is unfamiliar. So do a social media audit, get super radically honest with yourself. Maybe don't do it in the moments you're having a bad body image day, right? Maybe right now you're just looking for people who are body positive, people who are, talking about intuitive eating, body respect, self-care, those type of topics. Maybe it's completely unrelated. Maybe it's about art. Maybe it's about puppies, right? But start to curate a social media feed that is not solely focused on making you feel bad about your body. So that was a lot of information. I lost a light. It was a very eventful YouTube video. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please hop into the description below, book a consult call. I'd love to chat with you more. I always say, I'm literally just scratching the tip of the iceberg in these videos, and we go so much deeper in our work together. And on the calls, you'll even get to meet Ghibli. Hopefully be in a better mood. Oh, Jesus, you just stuck your tongue in my mouth. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment below any type of video you'd like to see next. And until next week, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye. Say bye. Say bye, Kippy. He says bye.